state senator from the Spotsylvania, Fredericksburg area, Republican, Bryce Reeves. Senator, good to have you with us, sir.
Hey, good morning, John. How are you?
Hey, look, I'm doing fantastic. I was excited to have you on today, Senator, because you got a big event coming up tonight with my good friend, of all people, Steve Forbes of the Forbes Empire, and I can tell you a whole bunch of stories on him. But why don't you tell our audience what your event is tonight, how you got Steve Forbes down to Central Virginia, and what it's about.
Well, thank you, John. Tonight's is probably one of our premier fundraising events for our reelection. As you know, the road to the White House is coming through Virginia. I know it'll be here in 2016, but it's really coming through in 2015 with Governor McAuliffe and his ambitions, his personal ambitions for a Clinton White House. So it's critically important we hold the Senate. I've gotten to know Mr. Forbes over some time, and just a phenomenal individual. You know, I mean, you talk about what he's done. He's run twice for the White House. He had a platform for flat taxes. I mean, there's nobody smarter on money policy than Steve Forbes. And in these trying economic times, he's just been a great mentor to me and a good friend, and we're excited to have him down to speak to some of the folks in my area.
I was part of his presidential campaign in, let's see, when was that? 2000, when he ran in 2000. Of course, he was for the flat tax and other stuff. And, you know, he was also the first candidate in history to launch their campaign over the Internet, and that was in 1996 when only, I think, 2 or 3% of people actually had email or Internet service or anything else. So things have really changed. Senator, if people still want to get to the event tonight, do you still have tickets, and how might they be able to do that?
Well, they can go to our website, brycereeves.com. We're also on Twitter at ReevesVA. And we still have a few tickets. I know it would probably drive one of my team members crazy at this point because he's done seating assignments and those things. But we'd love to have people, if they want to come out still. They can always drop by our headquarters in Central Park here in Fredericksburg. And, you know, we'd love to have anybody that still wanted to come that hadn't gotten their tickets. So Steve's going to talk about money policy, his outlook, what he thinks for 2016, where the country's headed. So I think it's going to be a pretty good speech tonight from Steve about where he finds America and what he thinks are the best days ahead for America.
Senator, you're up for re-election as a Republican. You had opposition, then you didn't, now you do. What's up with that?
Well, we're on our third candidate, so hopefully they're moving somebody up to the varsity at this point. But we worked really hard the last 4 years, in all sincerity, John, and I think that shows because, one, we have a constituent base that understands, and I have Republicans, Democrats, Independents that are all supporters because we try to focus on keeping the main thing, and that's taking care of the people in the district. And so if you work hard, keep your nose to the grindstone, I think people will reward you for that. Now, the reason I have another candidate is because the Democrats can't let me go unopposed because they're worried that as the majority whip that I'll go out and help all my other colleagues, which is very true. So it's a tactical move on their part. It's, McAuliffe's going to dump a bunch of money onto a candidate that they chose at the last minute to try to tie me up. So that's where we're at. But, we're going to take it serious because in order to sustain what I call the air war, which is media and media buys and all your flyers and all the things that go out in the mail, that takes a lot of money. And it does take a lot of money to run us in a campaign. Last election, we spent a little over $1.2 million. And so it's no joke, and it's a lot of hard work. So, but I'm confident in my team. I've got a great campaign manager with a young man who's a Hampton-Sydney grad who ran field office for Ed Gillespie and their Senate run, and just a phenomenal team. Just I can't speak more highly of the team that I have in place. And they know how to win. They want to win, and we're ready. We're ready to get to November.
So tell me what the difference is. I mean, last time you won by what? You won by 200 votes or something. So going into this thing 18 months ago, you were looked at as one of the most vulnerable Republican state senators out there. Now it's quite the opposite. You've had 3 candidates. They can't find anybody to sustain it. You're now tabbed by me, up by 25, blowout. What happened? What's different?
Well, I think maybe the Democrats did some polling. I don't know. I don't know why those dynamics have changed. For us, they haven't changed. We have a plan, an operational plan, and we stick to that, and we stay on message, and we stay and keep focused. And for us, we don't know that it hasn't changed, and so we just know what we hear when we're on the ground and going to events. And we go to everything. We're at everything. We talk to the community, so we have our ear to what's happening. And so, and we've just worked really hard, John. I mean, we've worked hard. I love the job. I absolutely love this job and taking care of people and our veterans and those sort of things and handling the issues that matter to the guy who's 30 days from the street. And so, those are the things that matter, and we just stay focused on that. And I don't know if the Democrats said, hey, this is a guy who's done his homework, he's gotten there, the people like him, and they're looking at it differently now. It doesn't hurt that we are well-funded. We've worked our tails off, and people are willing to give us their treasure. So we were sitting on almost $500,000. That was probably a pretty good deterrent for them as well.
Well, money talks, but I don't think any Democrat in 2015 that wants to get funded is going to have a problem getting funded by Terry McAuliffe. Senator, let's go to another race right in your neck of the woods there, right in Fredericksburg. Bill Howell, Speaker of the House, being challenged by one-time mentor is his former protege. He was her mentor, former Stafford County Supervisor, former candidate for Lieutenant Governor, Susan Stimson. Look, I'm just going to be candid, Senator. I've got Bill Howell up in this race right now by 25. I think he's going to run away with it. And I kind of think that Susan Stimson's best campaign day was the day she announced. It's all been downhill from there. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Well, I think it's like the race I had 4 years ago, and I'm not calling you a media pundit, but John, sometimes the media pundits get it wrong, and I'm not saying that that's the case, but I don't want to call the election this early. I agree with you. I think Bill Howell has worked very hard. I've seen him everywhere. I know Bill, he's a personal friend, and I'm supporting and endorsing him, but he's not going to let off the gas till after the primary is over, and he probably won't let off the gas even after that. But the reality is that, you look at the candidates. Bill has been a conservative leader for Virginia all these years. Now, we might not agree on every issue, and Bill will even tell you that you're not going to find consensus on every issue. But he's done a great job for Virginia, and he's been a great speaker. He's well respected in the area, and I think he's going to be fine.
All right, so look, one of the issues, and I think the Howell campaign put a video out yesterday. I did a montage on this, making fun of Stimson several times. It's just, I do talk radio. But look, Susan Stimson, well, that was Bill Howell was her mentor. I mean, she said it publicly. He was my mentor. He's my guy. He taught me everything I know. If I ever need anything, I call him up. He backed her. He gave her money. He kind of launched her career. Then she turns around and stabs him in the back. How do you think that's going to play?
Well, I don't think that plays well. I think ambition got the better part of her in this case, and that happens to people. And I think you tend to look at people that you surround yourself with, and the truth is she served on the board of supervisors. I don't think any of them, except for maybe one who is supportive of her, that was Susan's handpicked to replace her, are supporting her. And so I think that speaks volumes when you're serving in a leadership position and trying to move up. You've got to have the support of those around you and those people that you served with. And so, Bill has numerous endorsements, people he's served with, even probably some Democrats out there that like the speaker and some of the things that he's done. And so I think that's the difference between the two personalities, the two leadership traits and abilities that they have. And so I think people are reasonable, and I think they're prudent, and I think they'll make a common sense decision, and they'll put the speaker back into the General Assembly.
Well, look, at the end of the day, the only endorsements you need is those of your constituents. I think that it's going to turn out that you find out that Bill Howell has that. You've also got all kinds of problems in the Stimson campaign. They're out of money. Their campaign manager 6 weeks to go. Nice young fella, Raleigh Reisinger. He leaves. They can't pay him. And then the second in command, another nice young fella. He leaves. He couldn't get paid. Now they got somebody running the campaign that's already been discredited from Southwest Virginia. This thing's going nowhere. It's headed to a blowout. And I think it's going to be the end of Susan Stimson's career. Look, I think when you take on a speaker, somebody who is your friend, somebody that you have backed in the community, and you take on his family and you take on his wife and you try to discredit him, and then you go down in flames, I really think you got to step back and say, I don't think this lady has a lot of judgment going on. I know you can't comment on this, Senator, but I think she gets blown out. That's going to be the end of Susan Stimson's political career, in my judgment. Stick a fork in it. It's cooked if that happens. The Democrats are telling me you guys are on thin ice. They're saying, look, all we have to do is win the seat of the retiring John Watkins. That's a Democratic seat. It's gone for Obama 2 times. We win that. We hold serve. Hello, Saslaw. Goodbye, Tommy. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I think, it's, well, I won't say what I really want to say, but I think they're full of themselves. They say it's a Democratic seat, but it's been being held by a Republican. They say my seat's a Democratic seat. They drew the seat, right? 17th, right. They drew the seat. I'm barely in my district by 5 houses. And guess what? A Republican holds it. We got a great candidate, and Sturdivant, he's already electable in that district. He's well respected. They're just pumping it up, and it's intellectual warfare, if you want to call it that. They're not going to take that seat. They've got to shore up a couple of other seats where they're very vulnerable. And I think, this is my opinion, looking at the top 5 races that we have that are in the, if you want to call them, that we have to play hard and stay on our message and stay on our game. And then I think there's a couple seats out there that we have a real opportunity to pick up. And I think at the end of the day, after the November elections, I think the Senate's actually on the Republican side is going to pick up one.
Well, I think you're going to pick up District 21. Nancy Dye running a great race there. Now you got a third candidate in fact, I got that District 21 as a 3-way race. Actually, the independent Commonwealth's attorney I've got right now, if he runs in second place. Hey, we're out of time. We want to thank Senator Bryce Reeves for being with us. Always good to have you, and I look forward to seeing you at your event tonight. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, John. Take care.